bullfighting, a historical journey of a controversial heritage for centuries. Bullfighting has been more than just a form of entertainment. It has served as a symbol of bravery, honor, and the art of life in Spanish culture and in other countries influenced by the Iberian Peninsula. However, as the world entered the modern era with new humanistic and ethical values, this bloody art form became the center of heated debate. To truly understand the nature, origins, and evolution of bullfighting, we must turn back the clock to examine the formation, development, and transformation of one of the most controversial traditions in human history. 1. Ancient traces. Bullfighting and sacred rituals. The history of bullfighting can be traced back to prehistoric times. Cave paintings in Altamira, northern Spain, dating over 15,000 years old, depict scenes of humans confronting bulls. In ancient times, bulls were seen as symbols of strength, fertility, and divine connection. In Greece, Rome, and especially the Minoan culture of Crete, people held rituals involving bull leaping, where participants vaulted over bulls, without harming them, demonstrating reverence and athletic prowess. When the Roman Empire conquered the Iberian Peninsula, they brought with them gladiatorial games involving wild beasts. From these games, the concept of fighting bulls took root. But it wasn't until centuries after the fall of Rome that bullfighting emerged as a distinct and culturally rich tradition. 2. The Middle Ages. The rise of knights and noble tradition during the 12th and 13th centuries. As Christianity solidified its dominance and feudal systems flourished, Spanish knights began using bullfighting to showcase their courage and loyalty to kings and noble houses. At this point, bullfighting was very much a noble pursuit. Armored knights on horseback used long spears to fight bulls during victory celebrations or religious festivals. This was a time when bullfighting was part of royal ceremony and aristocratic entertainment. It reflected ideologies of heroism, honor, and man's dominance over nature. 3. The 18th century. The rise of the foot matador and modern bullfighting. A major turning point came in the 18th century, when the nobility began to withdraw from bullfighting, and foot matadors emerged as central figures. One of the pioneers of this era was Francisco Romero, 1700 to 1763, who first used the muleta, a small red cape, and sword to kill bulls without the aid of a horse. From here, bullfighting became more accessible to the general public and began to evolve into a more structured art form. This was also the period when bullrings, Plaza de Toros, were built as permanent, architecturally significant structures. Modern bullfighting, Corrida de Toros, was born, typically performed in 3 stages: the picadors, lancers on horseback, banderilleros, who plant decorated barbed sticks, and the final confrontation with the matador. The traditional costume of lights, traje de luces, worn by matadors, became a symbol of glamour, bravery, and spectacle. 4. The 19th century. Bullfighting in literature and popular culture. In the 19th century, bullfighting expanded beyond entertainment to become an art form, praised in literature, music, and painting. It came to be seen as Spain's national fiesta, symbolizing cultural pride and national identity. Many Spanish literary figures such as Federico Garcia Lorca and Miguel de Unamuno wrote about the tragic beauty of the bullring. However, perhaps the most famous literary supporter of bullfighting was Ernest Hemingway, the American novelist who was deeply fascinated by the sport. His works, Death in the Afternoon and The Sun Also Rises, portray bullfighting as the only true art in which death plays a central role, a spectacle of human courage and fatalism. 5. The 20th century. Glory, crisis, and polarization. In the first half of the 20th century, bullfighting reached the pinnacle of its fame. Legendary matadors such as Manolete, Domingo Ortega, and Luis Miguel Dominguin became national heroes, revered as both performers and fearless warriors. But beginning in the 1960s, as modernization and animal rights movements emerged, bullfighting began facing intense criticism. More and more people viewed it as legalized animal cruelty. Despite this, under the dictatorship of Francisco Franco, 1939 to 1975, bullfighting was heavily promoted as a tool of nationalist propaganda. It was used to project an image of a fearless, traditional Spain to the outside world. 6. The 21st century. decline, and the fight to preserve a legacy in the 21st century, bullfighting faced unprecedented challenges. Several regions in Spain began to ban bullfighting altogether, most notably Catalonia, a culturally and politically distinct region, which outlawed the practice in 2010, though the ban was later contested in court. Protests against bullfighting spread across Europe. Many television channels, schools, and local governments ceased to fund or promote the practice. Audience numbers dropped, especially among the younger generations. Yet many Spaniards continued to defend bullfighting as an irreplaceable cultural tradition. Some even call for UNESCO to recognize it as an intangible cultural heritage. 7. New forms, bloodless bullfighting, and compromises to adapt to changing times. Countries like Portugal adopted bloodless bullfighting. The bulls are fought but not killed in the ring. In France, traditional festivals like the Course Camarguais allow participants to dodge bulls without harming them. In Spain, alternative forms like recortes, where performers use acrobatics to avoid the bull rather than injure it, have gained popularity. These are seen as efforts to preserve the spirit of tradition while reducing brutality. 8. Bullfighting and cultural identity, symbol or shadow. Today, bullfighting remains a deeply divisive issue in Spain. Some view it as an archaic, violent relic that must be abolished. Others regard it as a noble art form, expressing courage, grace, and national identity. The debate is not just about animal rights, but also about cultural preservation in a rapidly globalizing world. Bullfighting forces societies to confront the conflict between tradition and morality, between history and progress. 9. What future for bullfighting? With growing global opposition to animal cruelty, the future of bullfighting remains uncertain. Many believe it will fade quietly as society evolves. Yet others argue that it will reinvent itself, less violent, more symbolic, preserving its essence while adapting to modern values. From sacred rituals to blood-stained arenas, from symbols of nobility to targets of protest, bullfighting has endured a long and tumultuous journey. Whether praised or condemned, it remains one of the most historically rich and emotionally charged cultural phenomena humanity has ever created. Conclusion: bullfighting, a fusion of sport, ritual, and theatrical performance, has endured for thousands of years, leaving an indelible mark on the collective memory of Spain and beyond. From ancient mythologies to modern arenas, from heroism to controversy, from glory to decline, it represents the eternal clash between man and nature, between life and death. Its future may be fading, but its history, however tragic or glorious, will always be a compelling chapter in the cultural legacy of humankind.